You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Oh, tonight. Oh, hey, we're here. Oh, man. So sorry. I can only get my kicks in weird ways. Which seems sort of on brand for the kind of books that we're going to be talking about tonight, which are all primarily underground comics with an X. Gotta remember that. Whenever you talk about underground comics, it's comics. Yeah, it's comics with an X. All right? X, you know. Was it the wrestlers Degeneration X, where they would do the weird X, but it would be about the crotch. Anyway, we're Fat Jack's Comicrypt. We got Aaron, we got Jason, Mike's coming back. We're all just kind of hanging out. And yes, like I said, we are primarily going to just do underground comics. So there's going to be a lot of talking, a little historical lessons, and we're going to get into some really weird stuff that, I mean, I understand if some of these prices are a little off-putting, but trust me, some of these books are quintessential, classic, famous, infamous, and more importantly, rare. And we are going to talk about probably one of the most influential underground comics on the form of autobiographical comics throughout the late 20th century in America. Little Pinky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary. Anyway, we're gonna hang out for a little bit. If at some point we realize that nobody's watching,
well, then we got people sounding off.
Maybe we'll pull the plug. But I hope, please hang out with us. We'll have some fun, and we're going to tiptoe around a lot of taboo subjects. So with that said, we will see you on the other side.
Hello.
Hey, it's us. We're back. Fat Jack's Comicrypt. So, real quick, we'll do some fast business real fast. Okay. This is a claim sale show, even though we're going to talk a lot about these books. Zaynan, what is up, buddy?
Do what it does.
Hey, Zaynan, thanks for the call and your encouragement. I'm a baby, so I don't usually take positive encouragement well, but I really appreciate you reaching out.
Who the hell is Zaynan? You don't know Zaynan?
Your arch nemesis, you know. All right, so real quick, business-wise, if there's anything up here you're interested in, you want to claim it in the chat. Please be as specific as possible. We have no giveaways tonight. That all kind of blew up in my face. And I forgot to do the store show variant, so, you know, we'll figure that out the next time. So claim anything you're interested in the chat. If you're here in the Philadelphia area, you can pick up the books, you know, here where we are. Or we can ship the books over to our Jersey shop and you can pick them up there. Or if you are outside of the area and you need us to ship books to you, we're going to need to get your shipping and contact information. The best way for us to do that is email us at fjccshow@gmail.com. Al handles that. He takes care of all the emails and invoices and shipping the books out and all that kind of stuff. I know. Al. Everyone misses him.
It's me, obviously.
Yeah. Like I said, we traded one A for another. Yeah. One A-hole for another A-hole.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Anyway, in regards to shipping, we start at $9 for like the first item, and then after that, Al will do his very best to keep shipping costs as low as possible. But again, we're still kind of figuring all this out and stuff like that. I should really just rip off other people who sell books all the time on the internet. I'd be like, this is what they do. We should just
whatever that person's doing.
Yeah, whatever that person's doing.
That's not even ripping off. That's
just so we're clear, this entire thing that we do, the first suggestion I ever got was, you see what everyone else is doing? And I go, yeah. He's like, rip them off. And I was like, anyway.
That's how, I mean, look at Sony. They keep trying to do the superhero thing.
Well, rip off the right people, not.
Well, yeah, you want to rip
off. You hear the whole thing? Forget it. Let's not even get into it.
Go on.
All right, so I'm pretty sure we've done the business, right? That's all the business? Oh, no. There's one other important part of the business, okay? The mixtape.
Oh, yeah.
All right? This is probably the most important thing to me, considering how, like, you know, I got so worked up at the beginning of the local show. I I barely could even all right, here's the deal. For anyone who didn't watch us last week or you missed the local show, 15, 20 minutes ago, we're doing an experiment going forward. Every time we do this show, the local and the experience together, we want to hear song suggestions from you who is watching, okay? And at the end of, during the week, I shove all of the suggested songs to my buddy Roland Vale, frontman of the greatest band ever, Cobras, Cougars, and Ninjas. And he will spend too much time altering his brain chemistry and curating an actual mix from all of our stream of consciousness songs that shouldn't be next to each other, kind of mix all together, and we're going to create a little magical spell or the weirdest film soundtrack you've ever heard. But trust me, the order in which those songs are put together are all important. And so on the following show, we will release the playlist, and we'll go from there. So please just here's the only two rules. You can only make one song suggestion a night, okay? So if you made one on the local, don't make one on the experience. So just one song suggestion per person. And if a song has ever been picked before on any previous mixes, it can't go back on. Now, we have to kind of use the Spotify a little bit to actually make the mix. But if any songs that you suggest aren't available on Spotify, like pretty much every record that Death Row put out. So if you want anything off the Chronic, guess what? It's not on Spotify. But we will always make honorable mentions for any songs that for whatever reason weren't able to be put onto the mix. In the posted playlist, we will always acknowledge all of your suggestions. Again, this is just for fun. We're just having a good time. Now, we're on the experience, so I don't know. Do we have any ability to send the link?
Kyle on YouTube.
You put the YouTube thing? Well, did you put the list? Can you put the Spotify list?
Can you send the link to Kyle? Maybe you can.
No, but can you? If I send it to your
I
phone?
got it already from the local show.
Oh, you did? Oh, perfect. Thank
I
you,
had
God.
to save it in my Spotify. What am I, some kind of knob?
I don't know.
Tell me what the
you
best
know
song
you
on there
watched
is
it.
going to be and why Brendon's wrong.
Now, right now, because it's brand new, if you go searching, you're probably not going to find it. But if you're curious, you can always look up the profile, Roland Vale, and it will always be under the Latchkey Manifesto, volume whatever. It will be a date of the episode that those songs were suggested and come from, and there will always be an actual title to the mix itself. So we'll just have some fun. Probably after the end of the show, I'll post a photo of the playlist, just a list of it written down on Instagram if anyone wants to recreate it for themselves or anything. Or, whatever. It's just, we're having some fun. Though I will say, if anything, one big favor. If you're going to actually listen to the mix, give it at least one listen all the way through in the order it was presented. Just to make Roland feel like he doesn't completely waste his entire life, because he literally lives in my basement. All right. So with all that said, thank you so much. We're still, so again, send out a suggestion. We already got a few from the local. So we look forward, hopefully, some people on the experience send us some more suggestions. All right. So with that said, again, I'm going to kind of just sort of meander around and talk about some of these books. We'll probably get to some of the bigger ones right off the bat. There's one I really want to talk about first. But if there's anything up here that you recognize and you're interested in, let us know in the chat, and Aaron will prioritize that and let me know. Also, in case you're wondering, we do have a row of books up on the top two shelves. Those are the books, big key books left over from the local show. And those books are primarily some very, very early Valiant keys, and some Avengers West Coast keys, and first appearance of the Grim Reaper. In case anyone is getting in on the Wonder Man train.
No one buys it off from
Well,
letting you know.
Don't feel obligated. But we are going to spend most of our time tonight talking about the underground comics that I have spent the past 3 weeks painstakingly researching, because let me tell you, except for a few that are very famous, finding information on some of these books it's rough. It's tough.
I help bag and board them too.
And some of them, there is little to no information about. And we'll talk about some of them, like Dr. Strange and Conan. We'll have fun, all right? But anything I need to know from the chat or what have you? Any priorities or questions or anyone?
Just sent the playlist.
Okay, all right.
Zayden suggested T- everything.
Cool.
Rabbit Junk, I got that.
Got it. Rabbit Junk, nice, love it.
And then Kyle recommended Americano by Roger Klein and Peace.
All right, very cool. All right, appreciate it.
Super.
So again, don't hesitate. Feel free. Throw us some songs. All right, so here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with one of the most influential underground comics in comic book history, and that is not hyperbole. I was aware of this book. I understood relatively its place and context in comic book history, but I guess I didn't realize actually how important it was. And more important for us as a retail shop, I was extremely excited to find out it is a first print. And I am talking about Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary.
That's a weird name.
I know.
What's the title?
By the cartoonist Justin Green.
It's even weirder inside the book.
Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mother from 1972. First print. Now, here's the first thing I'm going to talk about in regards to how I know it's a first print, because it's a very specific element to the book. Okay? So, on page 21 of this book, on the bottom left-hand corner of the page is a panel. And in that panel is a bunch of text. Now, every printing after the first, it is just text. There's no image behind it. But on first prints, which this is, that text directly behind it is a drawing of the Virgin Mary. Okay? So that is immediately, no other print of Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary has the Virgin Mary behind the text on the bottom panel on page 21. This does. So boom, first print right off the bat, which obviously gives it a lot of value. All right, now here is the basic concept. So if you've ever heard anyone joke around about penis rays, it comes from this book. All right, so pretty much Justin Green was raised in a very, let's say, repressed, slightly abusive Roman Catholic upbringing.
Slightly.
I don't want to because sometimes when people think of abuse, they immediately think of physical and sexual abuse. Well, a lot of it can also be emotional and everything like that. Also, Justin Green had a lot of undiagnosed OCD issues. Okay, so that is led to a lot of his childhood problems while being filtered through his very strict mother and father's Roman Catholic philosophies, let's call it. Yes?
He wants to take a look at Edward wants to take a look at this up close.
Oh, okay. All right. So I've always said I will prioritize. So, all right, here we go. You gotta bear with me, because I gotta change tracks here, because this is one that okay, all right. Okay. First of all, I have to take it out. All right, and I'm gonna let you know right now. This is priced at $150. Okay, just so we're clear. But this is a book that online goes for. Now, again, I found one actual completed sale of $350, and I found a lot of sales asking somewhere between $300 to $500. Also, there is a piece of original art from this book that sold, I believe, last year for $1,600. So this book has some value. But you ask yourself, you're like, why does it have value? Well, the main reason is that it is super, super rare. Bear with me a second. I gotta find my notes just so I can remember what I'm talking. Did I not take any notes? You gotta be kidding. Oh, here we go. All right. There we go. All right, so let's talk about this real quick because I got to show you a couple things. All right. First of all, here's the cover. Doctor Strange, unapproved by the Comics Code Authority, Marvel Comics. All right. But on the back, flip it, Conan the Barbarian. All right. Here's where it gets fun. Okay. So this book was written and illustrated by a gentleman by the name of John Thompson, who would later go on to coach the Temple Owls basketball team to a very successful program. And no, of course not. Of course not. John Thompson is an artist, an underground artist that you can't find anything about. I don't even know if this guy was real, but he made, as far as I'm able to tell, one book. It's this one. All right. It was made in 1973. Okay. It was published somewhere in Austin. Now, when most people think about the underground comics movement scene, most of it primarily comes out of San Francisco. And then a lot of the San Francisco scene is transported to New York City. But New York City itself wasn't a big hub of the actual artists living and working and publishing and all that kind of stuff. The other city that was sort of the next big area for the underground comic scene, primarily because it was born out of the psychedelic rock posters and like handbills and stuff like that, was in Austin, because Austin had a huge underground music scene. And so they went hand in hand together. Okay, so this one is no different. This guy, John Thompson, somewhere in Austin in 1973, while probably tripping face, because once I start talking and showing some of the images from this book, you're going to be like, whoa, all right. First of all, this book is extremely rare. I've heard about it to a degree, but I've never seen it. And when I found it, I didn't think I had found it until I really started looking through it. And I really realized what we had. There are no more prints than the first one. So there's that. I have no idea if it was successful. I have no idea if it really made it outside of the Austin area, maybe San Francisco or something like that. I have no idea. So again, I've spent a lot of time trying to research this stuff. So this isn't me being lazy. There's just not that much information out there. All right. But here's where we have some fun. I got to be honest. This book cracked me up. And I'm not saying in terms of it's funny or anything like that. It is just weird, trippy, and bold. And I give this guy a lot of credit. That's the image that sold for $1,600. Now, just so we're clear, there is going to be some nudity. So I'm not going to, all right, that's some sex.
It's underground.
That's sex. All right, there's a lot of, okay, here we go. It's not as much sex. But this book is like, this Doctor Strange thing is just pure tripping. And in fact, the art reminds me a lot of Robert Anton Wilson and the art that he would do for the Illuminatus trilogy. I mean, again, if anyone has ever partaked on certain psychotropics, you're going to recognize a lot of images in this book. I mean, this art is beautiful. But here's the wild thing, okay? We're getting close to something that happened that I didn't realize. Oh, there it is. So I don't want to show it yet. All right. So you have Doctor Strange and his partner, sexual partner, love interest, apprentice, whatever, having this sort of like existential psychedelic journey. And it's all about the intermingling of genders and the different levels of consciousness and all this, and like shifting form into different energy and just wild stuff. On the flip side, you have Conan the Barbarian. All done, all the art is done.
Not Conan.
Conan.
Not Conan.
Not Conan. Conan. But it's all done in this really interesting kind of like old middle-aged kind of like etching block art kind of. I think it's more etching kind of style. And so Conan goes looking for a magician, pretty much. He's on this journey to find this magician. And so he goes through the whole book. All this crazy stuff's going on. It's sort of like an adventure story. It's all this wild stuff, you know. And then at some point, he finds the magician, okay? He achieves it. But then the story continues into another dimension, and it becomes the other book. So here you get to the middle of the book, where both stories meld into one another. There's an actual manifestation and evolution psychically of all these different characters. This book is trippy! Like, it is wild. Now, again, it sucks. I mean, it's got some real value to it, which is why, like, I just can't give it away for, like, next to nothing, because I don't know if we'll ever see this thing again. It's something that we might have to just sell on eBay. I don't know, like, it's so niche. I don't know. But again, our copy is mid-grade. It's $150. But something I do want to say about most of these underground comics, most of these were not made to last very long. They weren't made all that well a lot of times. So most underground comics are not going to come in high-grade copies or what have you. So they're all relatively in really good condition. But, you know, I got to be honest. And like I said, like, making it a mid-grade allows me the ability to be comfortable marking it down as $150. Because, again, I don't know. Is it really worth $300, $400, $500? I don't know. Because, again, I have nothing to compare it to. But it is one of the strangest and best underground comics I've discovered in my lifetime. And if anything else, I'm happy I had the opportunity to read it and flip through it. It really tripped me out. And again, if you're looking for rarity, this book is rare. So there you go. Doctor Strange and Conan the Barbarian.
Matthew says, can I see the Young Lust next?
Yes, absolutely. Let's move on to the Young Lust. All right.
Any theory?
All right, bear with me. Let me just get my notes out here. All right. So, Young Lust is considered one of the top 3 best-selling underground comics of all time. The other two are Zap Comics and the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Okay? Doctor Strange! Yo, whoever grabbed it,
Gary, come on.
Dude, enjoy it, man. It's an artifact. It is a
break time,
though. I will say this. You're not going to find anybody who has you'll be the only one to be like, hey, check this out. Okay, so we got to go to a break. So when we come back from break on the other side, we will get right into the Young Lust books, okay? All right, so let's go to break, and I'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at The Experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Never like really.
Welcome back, everybody. How you doing? Let us dive back into our underground comics. Again, they don't call us the Comicrypt for nothing, so you're going to find some really weird stuff here. All right, so let us talk about the Young Lust books. Like I said, it's considered one of the top 3 best-selling underground comics with Zap Comics and the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers.
That.
It also is the series that gave, primarily created by Jay Kinney, Art Spiegelman of Mouse fame, and Bill Griffith of Zippy the Pinhead fame. But it would later go on to contain work from such people as Justin Green, who is the gentleman who did Binky Brown, that we'll get back to in a little bit, Roger Brand, Spain Rodriguez, Kim Deitch, Phoebe Glockner, Carol Leigh, Terry Laban, and early work from Daniel Klaus of 8-Ball fame and Charles Burns of Black Hole fame. So, with that said, we have now, this is a first print of Young Lust #1. And Young Lust #1 is a very valuable book as a first print, and it's quite famous in the underground comic book scene. The problem is, and why our copy is only $2, it's a good minus, or you could even call it fair, because somebody taped it back together. Somebody loved this book so much, they had to literally tape it back together. But it is complete. It is readable. It's just, I mean, $2. Again, a very famous book. In case you didn't figure it out, romance books like Young Romance and stuff that were very big coming out of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. This is them lampooning all of that stuff: sex, romance, the wars between the genders, all that kind of stuff. It's actually a very interesting title. And again, it was a high-selling book for a reason. So the first issue pretty much only contains Jay Kinney, Art Spiegelman, and Bill Griffith work. But, you know, as the series would go on, we would get into other who's of underground comic artists, like the names I mentioned earlier. So Young Lust #1, good minus, $2.
Sold.
All right. $2. I mean, come on. How even taped up?
Gold. Next, can we look at the Holy Mother book?
I will once I get through the Young Lust books. All right. So next up is Young Lust #2. Now, this is a first print as well, and this one's in much better condition. It's a mid-grade, which is why it is $15. Made by the Sexploitation Comics Group. That was the crew that these guys put together, the Sexploitation Comics Group. So Young Lust #2, mid-grade, $15. And again, man, I love this cover. Trying to see if people can really get a read on what's going on there. I love these books, man.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you read this cover?
Yeah, no, they're all yeah. No, that's the thing.
You gotta read. What the?
If anything else, this guy says it all so well. Gosh, it's so confusing.
People still drive them? What? That's still a thing?
Young Lust #3. This is a second print, and it's a good plus at $4.
They're all claimed.
Oh, they're all claimed.
Yes.
Oh, all right, okay. Well, let me just.
Matthew McHale, thank you.
Matthew, is that Rat? Yo, that's you, Rat. No. Is it Mr. McHale?
Yep.
So sometimes here's the thing, and this isn't a criticism of you. Al realized at a very early period that he had to only refer to people as one specific thing, or I would think that one person was 4 different people.
Oh.
Like I would be so confused.
Well, listen.
So here is
these books, you know.
Young Lust #4. This is a first print. This is a mid-grade copy at $10. So, Mr. McHale, I'm just going to show them off just in case you change your mind on any of them, but I will pass them back to Aaron as I go.
Cover the next one.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I do have to cover that. All right. Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Nah, we can show
Jason's the censor for us.
Helping Kyle out.
You know, nothing like the DEA telling you, the government telling you what you can and cannot look at. This is Young Lust number 5. Now, this is a 5th print,
Google's doing it.
which is why it's a fine plus and only $3. There you go.
What's fun?
There you go.
What's fun?
And now, most of these series, like a lot of underground comics, did not come out monthly. Sometimes you can go years in between the issues. So the 7th and final issue of Young Lust, which is this one right here, is also referred to as the 20th anniversary blowout, because the 7th issue came out 20 years after the first issue.
I mean, to be fair, they got enough content in one of these to last you a lifetime.
I know. Young Lust number 7, a very fine minus copy at $4. All right, there you go. And that was Mr. McHale, you said?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Why does it look like Brie Larson?
I don't know. Do you want to say something derogatory about him? About her?
Just looks like Brie's very big on not doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Brie's made a point to.
All right, so Young Lust. All right, good stuff, guys. All right, now we're going to slip back into the Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary. And I can validate all of the work I did. What are you laughing at? All right, so let's show it off again.
Verbiage is what I'm laughing at.
Let's show it off again. There you go. Let's take a good look. Now, I will give away I won't bury the lead. This is a fine minus copy at $60, okay? But again, it's a first print, and we're going to talk about its historical and cultural significance in comic book history. All right, so like I was talking about before, Justin Green was the writer and artist of this, who had a pretty rough Roman Catholic upbringing in childhood. And because of that, and because of his own undiagnosed OCD and ADHD issues, he had a lot of, let's call it, mental illness problems with the religion that he was being brought up in, to the point where he felt such overwhelming guilt and shame about his own sexual feelings, about all of these kind of weird ideas and thoughts that he was having that he couldn't fully control. So he created a concept called the penis raise. And what that meant was, whenever he would see a statue of the Virgin Mary, a priest, a nun, any kind of Roman Catholic iconography, it would give him such a panic attack. It would drive him so insane that in his mind, he would shoot rays out of his penis towards these, icons and blow them up, kind of like the guy in Kids in the Hall squeezing the head, except he's shooting penis rays.
His penis was a laser gun?
In his mind, it was, yes.
Okay. I have this ability? Let's
all right, real quick.
Tread carefully with this.
What? Hey, all right. Let me I'll just read off a couple of my notes here. Green takes on the persona of Binky Brown to tell of his compulsive neurosis that he struggled with throughout childhood because of his, what's wrong?
Great. What?
You're saying how much he likes grapes.
Grapes. Okay. All right. Great. Anyway, the book is insane. Okay, but it's all true. All right. Now, I'm not saying that he actually shot rays out of his penis, but
actually,
but him
at the end of it, that was horrible.
But what I'm getting at is this book is a confessional piece, like warts and all. Okay, and so it's autobiographical. It's about his childhood. It's about forms of abuse and how he was affected by it and how he worked through it. It's very anecdotal, telling certain stories and all that kind of stuff. Now, here is why that is important, okay? Because Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary has gained a reputation and is considered the first major work of autobiography in an English language comic book. And so much of this book, many aspects of this one book, become tropes and techniques of many underground and alternative comics. And this book was an immediate influence on his contemporaries in underground comics, such as Robert Crumb, Art Spiegelman, and Aline Kominsky, who soon, almost immediately after this book came out, began to produce their own confessional autobiographical comics. Now, if you're familiar with a lot of Robert Crumb's work, what did Robert Crumb's work become predominantly in the 70s and 80s and 90s? Almost all autobiographical, okay? But more importantly, especially in the historical context of what we're talking about, Art Spiegelman once said, quote, "Without Binky Brown, there would be no mouse." So pretty much Binky Brown is what gave Art Spiegelman the idea to take the story of his mother and father's experience in Auschwitz during the Holocaust, to tell that story, to create that autobiography, that, you know, all that kind of stuff. So in a way, Binky Brown is what gave us one of the most famous, important works of art that this medium has ever created, okay? And not just that, Justin Green, the artist of this book, he asked Spiegelman to contribute to the first issue of something that Justin Green was working on. That book was called Funny Animals. And that book was the first appearance and first chapter of Art Spiegelman's Mouse. So Justin Green is, in a way, sort of the godfather of Art Spiegelman's Mouse in a lot of ways. Some comic critics actually believe that while underground comics are most associated with counterculture iconoclasm, a lot of people believe the movement's most enduring legacy has been the autobiography in comics. We're talking about Alison Bechdel. We're talking about Persepolis. I mean, think of some of the biggest works in underground, alternative, creator-owned, self-published works that have come out over the past few decades. They're almost always autobiographical. A lot of Art School Confidential, that's Daniel Clowes' own experience in art school. Harvey Picar's entire career. Oh yeah, boom, they talk about timing, American Splendor. That was Harvey Picar's career, to just tell the stories of his day-to-day life, his experience collecting jazz records or working in an office building as a file clerk, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and again, most people at this point agree. Now, we're not saying that there weren't maybe some other people doing slightly confessional, kind of life anecdotal stories, but Binky Brown is considered the first true major work and considered to this day to be an actual work of art. Yes, everything Beckdor did, all that kind of stuff. Yes, My Friend Dahmer wouldn't have, existed without something like Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary.
How much is this? Someone asked.
Okay, this is another one that we got to talk about. It's a mid-grade, and yes, it's $100. Now let's talk about why it's $100, because in actuality, that's the Fat Jack's price. This book actually goes closer to $200, $250. Somebody was asking for $300. I don't know if that sale went through, but a couple sales did go through for $250 and $200. Our mid-grade. Oh, and by the way, all of those copies were all mid-grade or worse. Because again, these are not books that really came out of the chute as near mint or what have you. Well, let's talk about what Grave Tales is, because it really kind of blew my mind a little bit. All right, so first I'm going to tell a quick little story. I first find this book.
Tell you a story.
Let's show it off. All right, Grave Tales, mid-grade, $100. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, maybe this book isn't worth anything. Maybe it's like a $2 or $3 book or something like that. So I was thinking of purchasing it so I could do something. Because what I discovered in this book that I thought was kind of neat is, so it's a really nice, thick cardstock. And you open up the book, some really nice kind of horror art. Grave Tales from 1974 from Wonderful Publishing Company, right out of Phoenix, Arizona. All right, that's weird.
The first thing out of Phoenix isn't horrible.
I know, but here's where we get to the uniqueness of this book.
Don't worry about it.
All right, so Grave Tales. Covers suitable for watercolor, ink, pencils, or markers. Pages suitable for pencils, crayon, or chalk. Down here it says, limited edition of 1,000 copies, of which this one is 307. And then right below that it says, colored by blank in the year blank. I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. The whole book is meant for you to like color it, right? I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, maybe what I'll do is, it's probably worthless. I'll buy it and I'll color the whole book and I'll like give it away on the show or something, right?
Yeah, I would want that.
But I was like, before I do that, let me look it up. Well, I'm glad I didn't color it because this book, this is what was meant to happen. Okay, so yes, there were only 1,000 copies. Here, would you mind? Yeah, put that back in. Be careful. Yeah. All right. So yes, only 1,000 copies in existence. First of all, that's 307. Ballpoint pen, all that kind of stuff. Here is what was intended to do. The book was actually free. You would get the book from your local head shop or college or out of somebody's trunk of their car, let's say. And then what you were to do is you were supposed to color the entire book, then write your name, date when you finished it, and then mail the fully colored book back to the company, and then they would redeem that for another book. I have no idea what that other book was. But here's the thing. How many people really did that? Or if people did color it in and send it in and redeem it, how many copies still exist that are, as they were when they were originally printed? Like, how many weren't colored? How many do people start coloring and then throw it away and just forget about it? I don't know, because the only thing that I could find on the internet was this book is damn rare and going for a good chunk of change, let's say. So with that said, now the other thing that I kind of did find out was this guy, Bill Pearson, who did it later in life, he tried to do this sort of gimmick again in the early 90s. He got 3 issues. I couldn't find a word of any of them. It's just someone just said that they did it. I don't know. But this is the only one that they did back in the 70s. Again, it's a rare book. I misunderstood its significance and its rarity until I actually got off my ass and looked it up. And thank God I did, because I imagine Mike would be quite upset if I colored this in and gave it away for free when we found out that this book actually is like a $200-300 book.
Like you guys haven't done it with the Micronauts and other books like that, so.
But this would have been probably my biggest mess up. Yeah. So that is Grave Tales, and actually the art and the stories inside are pretty fun. Like, good early mid-70s horror stories, and a little bit of sci-fi, but always leaning towards horror. And I got to tell you, looking through the book, and no, I don't have $100 to spend to do it. It really does. They did a great job of creating art that looks like it would be a lot of fun to color in. I really was excited to do this cover, and again, until I realized.
Gary Wordman mentioned something about a Silverhawks 1. You want to tell me about that?
Oh, that too, yeah.
About that?
You mean the time that Al and I took a $60 book and then we scribbled all over it and gave it away for free? Yeah. You talking about that story?
Well, how did that one happen?
Or the time we gave away
how it happened, why it happened.
Or the time we gave away a $50 Insane Clown Posse book for nothing?
Or the
because one juggler was going to come in and spend $50. Like,
wait. I did buy.
So everyone at the store has to have their mess up, right?
No, this wasn't a real mess up. This was Al and I being.
No, the only mess up was a signed copy of
Practical is what you were being.
Yeah. No.
First swamp.
You know what? You're right here.
There you go. You can scribble all over it. There you go. Grave Tales. Good stuff. Let me just make sure. Let me check my notes real quick.
I guess you could say you were about to make a grave mistake.
You got it. Stories and art by Bill Pearson, Mike Roberts, Don Newton, and Robert Parsons. Yeah, I pretty much said everything. Yep.
I feel like you got it.
It was actually considered a fanzine, not a comic book. So that's another.
What's a fanzine?
Okay. Right.
Good question.
It's just listen. No. It's not a good question. It's.
There's no such thing as a bad question.
No. Again,
Just
friendly
bad
ball
people.
busting. Friendly
Bad
ball
people.
busting. Yeah.
Yeah. No such thing as stupid questions.
Gary,
just stupid people.
Gary,
And I'm not
let
literally
Aaron know what a
breaking
fanzine
balls.
is. Really? You've never heard of a fanzine? Like ever? Like I understand with the internet and social media. The
Why would
fanzine-
I ever need to hear about
I don't know. Just
it? Let me ask you
I'll
that.
give him a little bit of backup on this. The fanzine seems kind of dated. I would give him a lot.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
it's
but
almost like
I know a lot about things that dated me. Like
I know what fan art is. That's a thing.
You've never heard of a fanzine. Like even the concept of a fanzine.
Never.
I mean,
Okay. All right.
sound it out.
I guess you could say I'm not a fan.
Thanks, Zoomer. No, I'm just kidding.
Is Zoomer really gonna be? It's gonna be a thing.
At this point, I think it is. Yeah. All right. So unless anyone has any questions or priorities in the chat,
Edward says he wants us to be more hyper.
to be more hyper.
Yeah, pick up the pace.
Am I low energy?
I think we're all kind of. I mean, I can start just yelling out names and you just go ahead.
Please don't do that.
I'm just trying to find answers.
No, because come on, you don't trust me. You don't want me, at least me, to be higher energy because then I'll become like a dancing monkey that everyone will start just throwing out things, and before you know it, I'm ranting and raving like a manic street preacher and getting us thrown off the experience.
We don't get thrown off. We'll get banned.
We'll get deplatformed. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Kyle will get deplatformed.
Yeah, I know.
You will.
And we don't want to screw over Kyle. Kyle's our bud.
Kyle's
you know?
nice.
Kyle is my experience. Everyone else is. I have no idea who you people are. Yeah.
I guess you could say this is a nice
Oh,
experience.
Aaron has never heard what we are in the experience. We're the ugly stepchild. Yeah,
I'm used to that better.
that's what we are. We're the ugly stepchild.
If you ever thought you're ugly, get a White Castle at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're gorgeous if you go to 2 o'clock in the morning.
No, kidding. All right, so
White Castle.
unless there's anything that other people are interested in, are we okay
Win
for break?
17.
Real quick, are we okay for break?
Oh
Yeah, we can talk about women's comics.
Coming up on a break, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, right now.
like break like now.
Yes.
Okay, Kyle, let's go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some women's comics. I don't know, that might be relevant. So see you in a minute.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome everybody to Fat Jack's Comicrypt. Brendon, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey.
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody, welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
And we're live.
Hey, we're back. Okay, hey, what's up, everybody? Fat Jack's Comicrypt. We're hanging out. It's me, Brendon. That's Aaron. We got Jason, the banana himself. Mike's back there, crushing the cookies.
You are not.
Yo, is Insomnia Cookies just a local thing, or is Insomnia Cookie around the country?
No, it's around the country, but the owner
originated from like Penn or
No.
Temple.
Yeah,
Okay.
Penn or Temple, one of the two.
All
So
right.
he left and came back.
Okay.
As like a ode to Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
And
All
they're
right.
opening the headquarters on Broad and Chestnut.
Oh,
where they used to
good.
be Walgreens. It's a two-story.
My ex-girlfriend worked for Insomnia.
Bringing jobs to the area.
If you're from Philadelphia, they have a speakeasy Insomnia Cookies where you can get your cookie, and in the back there's a bar. So you can have like.
Oh, I've heard of this. Don't you like
It's
walk
down by
through like a
us.
really weird?
Yes.
Like you almost like walk through like a secret door.
Yes. It's down by us on the board.
Oh yes, I have heard of
Apparently
this.
they have
It's by
Insomnia
you know what?
cookies in New York as well.
If you go to
You should
Pets
take.
and Gino's,
You should take me sometime.
we shall go. It's by Pets and Gino's. If you're ever down that way, do not go to Pets and Gino's.
No. If you're visiting Philadelphia, don't go to Pat's and Gino's. Definitely don't go to
There's so
Gino's.
many better places.
Don't do
Yeah.
it. It's a front by the mob. Sorry.
Well, not just that, but I'm not gonna
All
say.
Philadelphia is.
I'm not gonna say anything because libel and debt, all that kind of stuff. But let's just say that Gino's and what they stand for is awkward.
Oh, wait,
wait, hold on.
Philly cheesesteaks do not have bell peppers, mushrooms,
Yeah, what
and
is
white
that all
cheese
about?
sauce on them.
Who puts whiz cheese in their cheesesteak? I'll beat you up right now. I'm sorry, I'm getting upset.
No, but I thought whiz cheese is what you said.
Yeah,
White, you said
whiz.
white cheese.
White cheese sauce.
Yeah, white cheese.
Whatever that crap is.
No whiz.
No, that's whiz.
No whiz without.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The best is John's roast pork.
Listen, the best cheesesteak, and I'm telling you this as someone who grew up in the best area, you just go to a random corner store and you say, hook it up for me.
You know,
And it'll taste delicious.
What's better? I can't control my own cast, or I'm a baby having a temper tantrum and quitting on air.
You're talking about a very sensitive topic, probably more sensitive than any other thing that I've ever cared about, which are cheesesteaks.
Well, I'll say this. I won't go home tonight and feel shame or feel guilt over you three arguing over
You know what?
cheesesteaks.
As long as nobody agreed, Pats and Gino's is a good cheesesteak place. That's
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
As long as
Everything all right, Mike?
You okay?
People who thought we were open? Got it. All right.
Booting people out.
Okay, so let's move on to the comics. I do want to try to get through all of these tonight if I can. Okay, so let's talk about some women's comics. Also, I do also want to say, if anyone's watching and you haven't suggested a song yet, please throw it at us. No judgments. I know I bust his balls about Wannabe. That's just, we're
Don't
hazing.
worry, I like the pain.
That's just initiation. It's got to be initiated somehow. I mean, I was literally on vacation, and I was like, I quit. You get Aaron. And I was like, wait, what happened? Yeah, so I have to work. I have to work through my grief over losing Al by taking it out on you. So I apologize.
Oh no.
But we'll get through it. We because these early shows are about us
Breaking each other.
Well, we're growing a rapport. We need to.
It's a brand new pair of shoes.
Right, and I need to trust Aaron. I need to know that.
Shoes in the first one.
The shoes aren't happy, and you're not happy because you're hurt.
Okay.
Like, it's,
All right. So let's talk about women's comics without me ranting and raving like a lunatic.
Do it.
So the first thing we're going to do, because it was the first thing, because it's already been claimed, right? Number 17 has been claimed?
Somebody.
Or were they just asking a question about it? Okay, I get the impression it's been claimed. Aaron, look at me. It's been claimed. So we'll just explain. You don't have to look it up. Cool. We're going to move on.
Oh, okay.
Because
Got it.
you know how we know it's been claimed, Aaron?
It's claimed.
You know how?
Yes.
Because I wonder who claimed it.
It's claimed. It's done.
All right. But even though it's the final issue of Women's Comic, issue number 17, it's been claimed. So, but I'm going to make my way through all of the issues that we have. We don't have issue 1. We don't have issue 5 and 6, 8 or 10, and 14. But we do have the majority of them. Now, I'm going to show off each one individually, but let me just let you know what women's comics is. I imagine most of you won't be shocked to hear that back in the 60s and 70s, even something as weirdly taboo, progressive, and paradigm shifting and status quo breaking the underground comic scene was, it was still primarily a male-dominated scene.
No.
I know. Shock. I know. Who would have saw that coming? So there was something at the time referred to as the San Francisco Women's Comics Collective. Now that group was pretty much consisted of the who's who of legendary female underground comic artists and cartoonists. Okay, so they decided, screw these guys. Every now and again, we'll get maybe one of us will get one story in Bijou Funnies or Snarf or Young Lust or something like that. So you know what? Screw the guys. We're going to make our own comic book. And that book was Women's Comic. All right, so this legendary all-female underground comic anthology was created as a response, like I said, to the male-dominated comic field, and it presents a lot of early work by artists such as Trina Robbins, Lee Mars, Roberta Gregory, Melinda Gebbie, Aline Kaminsky, and Sharon Rudolph. And that's not even all of them, okay? This is just a lot of like some of the earliest works of women who would later become the pretty much high watermark of female underground artists. I mean, they got their start, shock, in a book called Women's Comics that was done primarily to give young up-and-coming female artists a shot, at least a chance. So here we go. So first up, the early issues were published by Last Gasp Funnies, and then the later issues were published by Ripoff Press. So I'll just throw that out there. So first off is issue number 2, a cover by Edna Junos. I apologize if I pronounced her name wrong. This is a VG Plus at $5. All of these books are adult only, just in case you didn't know. Issue number 3 with a cover by Lee Mars. That is a mid-grade copy at $5. These are all first prints, unless noted otherwise. Oh, this one's fun. Kiss Me. Can't see turning a perfectly good frog into a prince. I'm with you there, ladies. This is a mid-grade copy at $5 with a cover by Shelby Sampson. Now this Melinda Gebbie cover is awesome. This is issue number 4. No, actually, this is issue number 7. I already did number 4. My bad. Issue number 7, the Melinda Gebbie cover. I'm pretty sure I had a Saturday night like this not that long ago. Yeah, there you go. Fun times, guys. Fun times. Fine Plus, $5. Issue number 9 with a cover by Lee Mars again. There you go. Wordman, I think it was Gary, made a fun comment that this kind of looked like Kevin O'Neill doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah. Women's Comics, what number is this? Number 11. That cover is by, no, 9. I already said that. Lee Mars. Yeah, my bad. VG Plus, $4. Now this is a fun cover. There we go. Nothing inappropriate about that. Issue number 11 by Diane Newman, who does the cover. Now this is a good copy. It's been well read, bunch of creases, things of that nature. It also has a price sticker right there on it. Only $2. And then we get into, at this point, we're into 1987. All right, here we go. Issue number 12, cover by Carol Lay. Chills and frills, glitz and glamour, loads of modes. Think hot pink, shop till you drop. All right, Fashion Confidential, good fun. This is a mid-grade copy at $4. Now, this is a fun little cover. This is their 3D copy. It's all in 3D. No, it does not come with 3D glasses. Sorry. This cover is issue number 12, so this is Carol Lay.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's a mid-grade copy at $4.
The eye looks like a note.
I know.
It looks like a character from like a Goofy movie.
It's awesome. Now we get into the occult issue number 13. That's a cover by Kristen Critter. That is a mid-grade copy at $4. Now, this is another cover that I love. Hi, Ken. Ready for our big date? Forget the date, Barbie. Let's get naked. Mid-grade copy, $4. This is issue number 15 with a cover by Phoebe Glockner.
That's why I'm still single.
Yep. featuring case histories in child psychology. Interesting. This is another cover I love. A woman picking. Start your collection today. Let's see if we can get a good. So we have the Casanova, Johnny, Blowhard, All USA, A Creative Genius, Hoochie Coochie Man, First Love, Soldier Boy, Tall, Dark, and Boring, Mr. Fix-It, X, X2, Macho Man, Bookworm, Maestro Dude, Wet Noodle, Great League Player, Mr. Clean, Dreamboat, Total Jerk, Some Idiot, Little Twerp, Strong Silent Type, Super Dad, Mama's Boy, Fistful of Dollars, and the one she's picking off the shelf and hoping will turn out to be how it's labeled, World's Greatest Lover. Women's Comics presents Men, issue number 16, covered by Carol Tyler, mid-grade, $4. And the one that has been claimed, and you'll probably guess why. There you go. The final issue of Women's Comics, number 17, cover by Karen Leshin. That is a mid-grade copy at $4. And no, you don't look like you're worrying. By the way, awesome earrings. Boobs and ovaries. All right, good stuff. All right, so that book has been claimed. So we'll send that off. That was like many, like we've talked about before in regards to a lot of the Underground comic series. 17 issues. It took 20 years to put out 17 issues, which I guess is better than 7 issues in 20 years, like Young Lust. But you know,
or Martin books.
Well, you know, I don't want to talk about that. I'd much rather talk about abortion than
Speaking of
the fact that the Winds of Winter will never come out.
Oh, it's not out yet.
The 6th book?
No, I'm thinking the TV show. I've never bothered watching the HBO show.
Of Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
You never
no, they got
bothered?
the new one, the new series.
Oh, the Jon Snow series?
Yeah, whatever.
No, the House of the Dragon?
Yeah, whatever.
Did it start?
I don't know.
So.
No, it hasn't started yet.
No, and nor am I watching it. I gave up on Game of Thrones after that.
I'm pretty sure.
No, it hasn't started yet.
She was like, I have a dragon. Guess I'll kill her.
No. Right. Well, yeah, that was always going to happen.
It was boring.
Whatever. All right, we don't have to have a
It was
discussion.
just fun.
I don't want to talk about it.
We
It's
don't.
done. Moving on.
No, because then I have to have an overarching discussion of our culture and
It was so predictable. That's all I'm saying. It was just predictable art.
it's predictable because it was all set up.
Yeah.
It's not predictability if the writer is setting up what is going to happen. So when it does happen, the audience isn't taken out of left field. You're like, yes, this was inevitable. It was always going to happen. Like everyone who got upset that Daenerys turned into a villain, we're like, that would never have happened. Did you read the books? Did you watch the show? It was always going to
Jon
happen.
Snow should have stayed dead. I mean, what did he do after he came back to life that was relevant?
Well, the problem is R.R. Martin was.
He fulfilled the Targaryen prophecy.
So what? This supposed to get married and have incest babies?
Yes, because they were
weird.
part of the Targaryen prophecy. It's just it's a fantasy book.
Yeah, and that fantasy
It's not
freaks me
real.
out.
Damn fantasy.
It's like,
It's in the name of the book.
They literally had zombies. They had ice zombies. They had dragons. What are we talking about?
Yet they couldn't have enough magical force in the universe to not make them siblings?
Let's just say the
That's
last
weird.
The last two
Wait,
seasons.
you do realize that incest and royal blood is pretty much par for the course. And if we're being very honest, George R.R. Martin based Game of Thrones off of the War of the Roses, which was a real thing in England as these families and political powers were fighting each other while also sleeping with each other.
He also made some honest.
You heard it here. Don't have incest. There you go.
Because then you'll run a horrible book.
Yeah, not only that, but then you're
Jason, where's our PSA? And now you know. Yeah. No incest.
Now you know.
Yeah. Nature abhors it.
We're
Yeah.
talking about Game of Thrones.
Are you talking about Dune? Yes, Dune also had elements of.
Yeah, but Dune had a cool person monster thing with hands. Did you ever read the books?
Oh, you want to buy that house?
Is it still for sale?
It's still for sale.
David Lynch's row home is still for sale. What? Fairmont?
Fairmont.
How much is it?
$320,000 for 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Okay, what would happen
Fairmount?
if we bought David Lynch's house and then I took the most psychedelic drugs I've ever done before in my life, and then you locked me in that house for a month. What do you think?
You would come out with like ancient
What would happen?
Do you think he'll like call you and be like, "Hey, that's the thing I was going to do the whole time"?
I hope so. I would enjoy that.
I appreciate you doing this.
It'd be a lot of fun. I'm like, don't worry, David. I'm making Eraserhead 2.
Just make sure you don't David Lynch yourself.
Oh,
so ignoring that, let's move on.
If you did Eraserhead 2, I'm pretty sure he'd tell you to kill yourself.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he would not be happy.
All right.
You would create YouTube comics.
Yeah, probably. Hey. Thank you for whoever said that, because great segue, because that's where I was moving on to. Let's get into a little crumb, and let's get into some of, I'm pretty sure it was Kyle. Kyle's taken over the Al job.
Like, guys, come on.
Yeah, it's managing Brendon, which is a very difficult job. I apologize.
You just don't notice them. That's how we do segues.
All right. So let's pull it back. Okay. Woosah. All right. Because again, I kept teasing. We're going to talk about some of the more famous underground comics of all time, and this is one of them. Okay. But before we get into Bijou, let's just first quickly talk, because there's a little context. All right. So prior to 1969, with the release of Zap Comics #1. Until Zap Comics #1, there was never an actual underground comics series. The first, let's say, you can argue maybe the scene was about 10 years old by 1969, though some people would argue that some of the first truly considered underground comics weren't released until 1963, including a lot of Robert Crumb's zines. Robert Crumb's, his little like 5x7, because that's how they, usually published, like almost like ash can editions. Because again, these were like poorly published, poorly stapled together, sold out of your garage, out of your car trunk at a dead show, or out of your head shop, or on college campuses, things of that nature. So up until Zap Comics #1, which became, technically speaking, the first underground comics series, you only had these sort of one-off kind of books. So Snatch Comics was one of the more famous ones. Obviously, it's when Robert Crumb really started to become Robert Crumb. And then you got Jizz Comics. We still have a couple. Snatch Comics, which was very profane and everything like that. Also, Snatch Comics, there's only 3 issues. All 3 of them are infamous. And number 3, is also considered one of the most famous and notorious of all of Robert Crumb's early underground comic series. Now, this Snatch Comics, which is a second print, which is why even at a mid-grade, it's only $30, because trust me, if we had a first print in the same condition, it's easily a $100 book. But this is a lot of Robert Crumb, Robert Williams, S. Clay Wilson, and a few others. Okay? So right around this time, the new all-time low in smut. Yep, that's saying something. Its literal symbol is a cock and balls. Yes, it's very inappropriate.
It's my kind of party.
I bet, yeah. So yes, this is a second print, mid-grade, $30, and it's as profane as you imagine. But again, let's never forget, you could argue maybe it went too far, but most of these books were always done in the at least spirit of satire, okay? Because again, let's not forget what was going on coming out the 50s and 60s in America. A lot of our society needed to be lampooned, poked at, brought down. Now, admittedly, we now live in times where we're being dragged back towards, it seems that way.
Some of the things from the 50s
Wait, you're telling me we're being...
Yeah. As Jonathan as Reed Richards once said in the famous Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four Dark Reign #1, the first part of Jonathan Hickman's epic Fantastic Four run, the first lines out of Reed Richards' mouth was, "I refuse to be dragged back into the cave." And, let's just leave it at that. But
I mean, if some people have it that way, their way, everyone's going to be.
I know. Let's stay sound. Even I'm the voice of reason. I can't believe it. It's like the other week when Jason was freaking out at Kyle, and I had to be the one to tell Jason to calm down. Anyway,
sorry, Kyle.
So in 1969, Zap Comics #1 is released, and we get our first true underground comic series. 6 months later came Bijou Funnies #1. Now, before we get into it, let me just get a little, because this is important. This is considered one of the all-time classic underground comic series, released only, like I said, 6 months after Zap Comics #1. It is also considered one of the most valuable underground comics, okay? You have work by Jay Lynch, Skip Williamson, Robert Crumb, Gilbert Shelton, and Jay Kinney. Now, I'm not going to bury the lead. This is a $100 book, okay? Now, it's $100 because it is a rare first print. Bijou Funnies #1. And I'm now going to show you why we know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a first print. All right?
You notice how like you always keep the cheap books in the packaging, but all the expensive ones you take out?
Well, no, these are kind of important to like.
No.
To
I
like,
was noticing.
okay.
No, he doesn't.
I don't normally do that. Yeah, very honest. All right. So let's take a look. All right. Now, one of the first ways that you can tell that this is a first print is because you get a super, super red tip to the nose. For every print after this, that big saturated red tip, it's not there. It's just this normal pink, okay? But here is the biggest giveaway that this is a first print. Now, don't be shocked like I was when I first opened it up. All right, so you see how wide this book is, right? We're all clear? How wide? Here we go.
What happened? What the dog do?
Do you see?
What the dog do?
All right, this is all right. It's not as wide as the two front cover, or as the back and the front cover. Okay, and it's not even stapled correctly, where everything is like flat. No, everything is like sort of sticking out and everything like that. This is not a defect. This is not like somebody put this back together and taped it together like Young Lust #1. No. This is how first prints of Bijou Funnies were printed. They were amateurs. These guys didn't know what the hell they were doing. I mean, they were used to, at that point, creating little snatch comics like that. So all of the first print Bijou Funnies #1s are all beyond amateurish. I mean, they are just like, you're sitting there going, wait, is this like purposeful? Not really. It's just they didn't know what the hell they're doing. But that is one of the ways to know beyond a shadow of a fact that is a first print of Bijou Funnies, which, just like with Funny Animals, just like with Binky Brown, just like with Air Funnies, just like with Zap Comics #1, just like with some of the early 60s Crumb stuff, you're looking at some of the most famous, infamous, and historically relevant underground comics of all time. Bijou Funnies, if you are a true connoisseur of underground comics, that's one of your holy grails, all right? Whether you want to pull the trigger on $100, hey, I understand. But again, I do not want to undersell what that book is and what this series is. Because now we're going to get into the series of Bijou Funnies. All right, so let me get my little notes here, make sure.
Get your notes.
All right, so now we get up to issue #2. Now, this one is a third print, which is why at a VG Plus, it is only priced at $12. Now, this, with issue #2, this is where the book really takes off. First of all, it includes work from Jay Lynch, Robert Crumb, Art Spiegelman, Gilbert Shelton, Skip Williamson, and others. This is, again, like Bijou Comics, Bijou Funnies #1, considered one of the more famous underground comics of the late 60s. But this is the issue where there was a notable shift towards drug-infused socio-political comic strips, unlike the first issue, which is more like Funny Animal parodies. You know, like they were kind of, I don't know why they weren't just coming right out of the gate just with just the most disgusting things you could think of. They held back until issue 2. And issue 2 really became, let's say, scandalous and scathing. Definitely.
Somebody to publish it before they can do something crazy.
Who's Peter Laird?
Peter Laird, he's one of the creators of the Teenage Ninja Turtles.
Okay. Issue number 1 is crazy important, says Kyle. Peter Laird.
Yes. Yep. No. Again, this.
Wait, you tell me the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a parody? I'm just kidding. We had this
conversation. We definitely had that conversation.
But
Brendon.
Unlike fact. That's my new statement. But Brendon.
Peter Laird's brother was married to my neighbor when I was a child.
No shot.
Okay.
And for Christmas every year, they would give me a ton of Turtles toys, and I was not a Turtles fan.
Oh, they're cool. Wait.
Do you still have them?
No. Did you guys have the truck that shot the sword?
Yes, of course.
Things?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because I had
it's
one of
just
them when I was a
like-
kid.
Yeah.
It's like they fell into the same lines as like the Inspector Gadget cartoon
Okay.
You know, like,
and like the real Ghostbusters, and I was just like, I don't want any of this, and I had
okay,
all of it.
you didn't like Inspector Gadget?
No.
That was my jam when I was a kid.
Wait, time out. It's time to do the very first Fat Jack's Comicrypt live stream Fight Club. All right, Mike and Aaron, come on, everyone, step up.
Can I get
All right.
Gadget to take my spot?
First, let me check your fingernails. I want to make sure everybody has short fingernails. All right. No, you can't use Chuck. Chuck's the referee. All right.
That's not fair.
All right. Go. No. And then I'm the one who gets punched.
Both just started
Oh.
Brendon. We're like, wait,
Yeah.
what's the 2v1?
Yeah, I'm not. All right, so Bijou Funnies. Let's move on. So here we go. Again, super famous. Now, this is another first print. That is issue number 3. By this point, they kind of figured it out. Don't worry, that's part of the cover. That is not a tear. This first print is a very VG Plus at $30. 30 dunks. And then we get to another famous Bijou Funnies. This cover was a big deal in a lot of college fanzines of the early 70s. The other way you know that this is a first print is only Bijou Funnies number 4 first prints have the Hey Kids Adults Only banner at the top of the book. This is a VG minus at $25. And then we have 2 copies of Bijou Funnies number 5, excuse me. That is a 3rd print, fine minus at $16, and a 4th print, fine minus at $8, with a really cool for 2-fisted adults only. So it's only for you 2.
Now I got the Inspector Gadget.
I've never been fisted. I don't know about that.
What? I can fight.
Let's
not very good, but I can do it.
Let's let that one lay.
Yes.
Okay, now here is an iconic one. Okay, so this is Bijou Funnies number 6. It is a 4th print, which sucks because if we had a first print, it's very valuable. But this mid-grade 4th print is only $8. But this cover here, Crumb's cover, earned a top 20 underground cover award. It also contains the strip Hef's Pad, which is the true story of Robert Crumb, Jay Lynch, and Skip Williamson's visit to the Playboy Mansion and them hanging out with Hugh Hefner and all of his little bunnies. But again, that is a very iconic, famous underground comic cover. But yes, Bijou Funnies number 6, 4th print, mid-grade, $8. And then we get Bijou Funnies number 7. Now that is an Art Spiegelman of Mouse fame cover. It is also the final issue. But it took until the final issue, but Spiegelman finally joined the party. Now this came out in 1972, and it is a 2nd print, and it is a fine mid-grade copy at $8.
Gary Wordman is once again suggesting that you host an all underground comic show.
Yeah, I know.
You talk about the history, and you interview the artists themselves.
Maybe a mini series, but I would run out of content pretty fast. If I'm being really
I think we
honest.
can get some underground artists on here. I mean, they're not very busy, I imagine.
Oh, that's sad.
I'm just speaking facts. You got to roll.
I think most of them are dead. No.
Most of them are dead?
Or move
Oh,
on
now
to-
they're really underground. I'm sorry.
All right. All right.
Don't go to the bathroom
All right.
or something.
Still sticking with Crumb for a second. Let us move on to Secret Agent for the CIA. There.
What an interesting design.
Let's look at that. All right, this is from 1972. This is a VG Plus copy at $30. All right. This is the first print by Ballantine Books. And all of the comic strips in this book are reprinted from Fritz the Cat stories from 1965. But you might ask yourself, why was this reprinted in 1972 by an actual book publisher? It is because it is the first separate publication to be printed so as to tie into the 1972, the brand new movie hitting the theaters, a little animated film called Fritz the Cat.
What's that about? Never seen it.
Being serious?
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
I'm with him on that. I never saw that movie.
You never saw Fritz the Cat? I mean, Robert Crumb hated it so much he actually killed Fritz the Cat in a comic strip soon after the movie came out.
Wow. Okay.
But the movie's brilliant.
Really?
Ralph Bakshi, like an early
Was it like a riff on Garfield or something?
It is counterculture, anti-establishment. Fritz the Cat was probably Robert Crumb's most famous. So Fritz the Cat was his most famous character, followed by Mr. Natural. And so Fritz the Cat was probably, if any character was the big breakaway star of the underground comic like movement, it was Fritz the Cat. So no shock. What's that? Oh, okay. 10 minutes to a break. Okay. So no shock that Fritz the Cat ended up becoming, an animated film. It was a big film, and it, did really well and all that kind of stuff. I actually really like it. I own it on DVD. Yeah. I mean, it can get dark and depressing.
Based on any of these comics.
Yeah. But Robert Crumb hated it so much. The next Fritz the Cat comic strip he created, he killed off Fritz the Cat.
Was it like a peaceful death, or was it like...
No, I think he died by first being kind of raped by 10 women who then stabbed him to death.
That's a way to go. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a very unique sort of a book in the Robert Crumb Fritz the Cat legacy. Again, it's the first print from Ballantine Books, one of the very few underground comics to ever be reprinted by an actual book publishing company.
I didn't know they formatted it.
Yeah, well, because it was the comic strip, sort of like, doesn't it remind you almost of like the old Garfield from the comic strips in the 80s? Yeah. They do the horizontal.
It's interesting that they
didn't
decide to format it to fit like a book. They just went full.
Yeah, no, this was common at the time when they would reprint comic strips and stuff like that. This was definitely common. Okay. So VG plus $30. Speaking of Mr. Natural, and we'll do Mr. Natural, and then we'll go to a break. Okay, so when I first, because again, we're talking about famous books, okay? Mr. Natural #1 is a very famous underground comic, especially the first print. And when I first saw this little bad boy right here, there you go, let me take a look. I was like, wow, how cool would it be if that was the first print? Guess what? First print. This is a book that can go for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The problem with it, and why we're only selling a first print at a VG for $40, is because there is a 1.5 inch split right below the bottom staple along the spine. Okay, so that's a big flaw, and we have to acknowledge that and everything like that. But this is a highly, again, if we're talking about holy grails of the underground comic scene, this is one of those books, Mr. Natural #1. So again, next to Fritz the Cat, it's probably Robert Crumb's most famous original creation. And yeah, good stuff. Also featuring Flaky Funt, who you do not need me to tell you who Flaky Funt is. It's awkward. Anyway, first print, VG, $40. And then we get #3 of Mr. Natural. Now this one is only this is an 8th print, so don't get too excited. It's a mid-grade. It's only $8. But again, if you were to have a first print of Mr. Natural #3, you have yourself a very valuable book. So all right, so there we go. So we've talked about Snatch Comics #3, Bijou Funnies. Do we have the whole run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We actually have the whole run. Awesome. And we talked about Mr. Natural #1, first print, Mr. Natural #3, 8th print, and Secret Agent of the CIA, the only tie-in to the Fritz the Cat animated film. So with that said, I guess, Kyle, let's take a break. And then I guess when we come back, is that our last segment or something? What time is it? Is it 7:30?
7:26.
7:26. Okay. All right, cool. So break time. We'll see you on the other side.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show. Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
Hey, what's up? Real quick, for anyone who's still watching, if you haven't suggested a song, please throw it out. We got about, 10 songs we were talking about? So at least didn't have to be an EP. I was afraid Roland was going to have to make an EP instead of an LP. But we got ourselves 10 songs, and I can't wait to throw it to my boy in the basement and let him stay up all night and craft us a little mix. Again, for anyone, we put a link, the YouTube. Jason Banana made that, so if it's not interesting or cool looking, don't blame me. And we got the Spotify link out there. And please, anybody who want to participate, I really appreciate all of your time and help and all that kind of stuff. Roland seems to be having a lot of fun, and considering the fact that he hasn't left my basement since 2019, I'm happy to see him excited about anything.
When he leaves, can I go in?
Sure, yeah, you can come live in my basement.
Yes.
But I ask a lot of you.
I told you, Mom, I can find a place to live.
Yeah. Well, I'm just throwing this out here. I mean, you think I'm tough and a ball buster. Wait till you meet my girl, you know. And then my 2 cats and my dog.
Is she evangelical Christian?
No, not even a little
I'll
bit.
be fine.
Okay, all right. So we have a little bit of time left before the end of the show. So I don't want to say let's burn through it. But let us try to talk about some of the last of the underground comic books that we have. So first of all, I want to point out, I wish I had more Vaughn Bodie, but I don't. But I love Vaughn Bodie. Probably one of the he's not an underground artist. I think people talk about it enough, but he's the only underground artist that got name checked in a Beastie Boys song. So that's got to stand for something, you know. Really? Yeah, Sure Shot. You know, the Adam Ad Rock line where he's talking about, I'm a Cheech Wizard. Like Sure Shot. Look up the lyrics to Sure Shot. Yeah, just look up the lyrics to Sure Shot. Yeah, it's the Ad Rock where where they're talking about Lee Perry, and then they get into Vaughn Bodie. I'm a Cheech Wizard. I'm a Cheech Wizard. Even in the video, Ad Rock is rapping in front of somebody who had done a mural of Cheech Wizard. In fact, Vaughn Bodie is beloved in the graffiti art scene of the late 70s and 80s. A lot of his work popped up in murals throughout New York City, San Francisco, LA.
I think that's
No. The Vaughn Bodie is the shirt. But we also not only have a Vaughn Bodie book, but Vaughn Bodie and his buddy Bernie Wrightson used to do comic strips for a porno mag called Smut? Snatch? Smut. I think it was Smut. Anyway, those little comic strips, very adult, obviously, by Vaughn Bodie and the quintessential Bernie Wrightson, were collected in this little one-shot called The Collected Purple Pictography. So there we go. This is a VG minus copy at $12. Obviously, Vaughn Bodie, Bernie Wrightson are not with us here today, RIP. But this is a book that has steadily gone up in value over the years. Gary, Phillies won. Thank you. Gary, man. Dude, only you will understand this. When Bryce went down last night, I know this is going to sound terrible. It's been a bad week. It's especially been a bad week for a lot of women and ladies out there and for anybody with a soul. And I like to think that I have one, so it's been a bad week for me for a lot of reasons, a lot of things out of my control. But another thing that made it feel worse was MV3 going down with a broken thumb. What the hell? And he looked like he was in so much pain. Oh, he might be done for the season. He might need surgery. Anyway, Gary, thank you for the let me know the Phillies won. I appreciate it. So anyway, Collected Purple Pictography. VG minus, $12. A lot of interesting pornographic cartoons by Vaughn Bodie and Bernie Wrightson, somebody that I imagine most of you would not have realized used to draw erotica. And then I don't have Cheech Wizard, I don't have the Caveman, but I do have
Cheech Wizard is what's mentioned in Beastie Boys song that you talked about. See, unlike Vaughn Bodie, the Cheech Wizard.
Wait, are you telling me something that
No, I'm telling you, I'm confirming what you said.
Okay. Yeah, it's Sure Shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sing us the line. Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
I'll do it. Yeah, come on. Yeah, here we go. Here comes Jason, man. Ad Rock over here. J Rock is. Oh no, he's passing the MCA. You know, where we go? Where is it? Oh, this is like one of my all-time. Well, I'm that kid in the corner, all effed up, and I want it. No, but where's the?
Come on, sing like you mean it.
No, I can't. But at least I'm gonna
I can't sing either.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm like Lee Perry. I'm very on. Rock the microphone, and then I'm gone. I'm like Vaughn Bodie. I'm a Cheech Wizard. Never quitting, so you won't listen.
You know what? You were right.
Good job.
I don't take that as. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. All right, and
I thought
then
you didn't take compliments.
no, I really don't.
Not often.
But when they're sort of a dig, I take it as a compliment. Yeah, that was a dig.
That definitely did.
Okay, so the one series we do have from Vaughn Bodie is Junk Waffle, which was his like weird duck sci-fi. Again, to try to explain Vaughn Bodie is like trying to explain human consciousness. It's ephemeral. But here we have a first print of Junk Waffle #1. Now, regrettably, it is beat up, okay? It's not torn up or anything like that. It is just a very loved book. So I did grade it at good. But that is also why it's only $6 and not the $40, $50, $60, $80 that sometimes it sells for.
She's had her rounds on the carousel for sure.
There you go. But we do have a third print of Junk Waffle #1. Now, this is a Fine Plus, so much better condition, but same price, $6. And then a first print of Junk Waffle number 2. This is a mid-grade copy at $12. And then a second print of Junk Waffle number 3. This is a Fine Minus at $6.
That's a pretty decent steak.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so those are the only Bombodis I have, regrettably. Now, here's a fun one. There was a famous artist who worked on one of my all-time favorite things as a child. Aaron, as somebody who did not grow up in the 80s, you didn't even grow up in the 90s. Oh my God.
I did. I was like 1 and then 2, and then it was over.
Doesn't count. You didn't grow up. You didn't come.
You didn't. I started at 0 and I ended at 2. I
didn't
grew up in the
exist
90s.
until 97.
I remember what happened.
You weren't conscious, okay?
I know what happened.
So let me ask you a question. Are you aware of something called the Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it. If you didn't, then I would have been actually.
I don't know a lot about them, but I've heard of them and I've seen stuff.
All right, one of my all-time favorite things as a kid. No joke. Love Garbage Pail Kids. Well, one of the main artists for Garbage Pail Kids was a gentleman by the name of John Pound. And he was already a working underground artist, and somebody famous who actually created the Garbage Pail Kids, like from the comic book field. Like it almost feels like it was like a Harvey Kurtzman idea or something like that. I should know this.
Listen, you may have the knowledge, but I have the internet.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. So, whoever created the Garbage Pail Kids came from the comic book scene and was very familiar with a lot of underground artists. So he kind of cherry-picked a couple of his underground artist friends to do.
Art Spiegelman.
Oh my God! How did I not remember? Yes, Art Spiegelman of Mouse fame. Yes, he's one of the main guys who created the Garbage Pail Kids.
That's right.
So again, as we've talked about for the past 2 hours, Art Spiegelman is one of the Mount Rushmore of underground artists. So of course, when he got tapped to create this thing, Garbage Pail Kids.
His name is Art, and he does art.
Anyway, move on.
I wish we could create a sound effect of just coming to a grinding halt.
No, that was perfect.
It's relevant.
Anyway, John Pound.
There's an art to it.
He created he worked on a bunch of books. He pops up in Snarf, which we'll talk about in a couple moments. But he did, during the height of his Garbage Pail Kids fame in 1987, he created a comic book called Ground Pound Comics. And it allowed him to give a couple of his buddies some work. And those buddies are Mark Evanier, and Peter Max. Mark Evanier, most of you might remember, he was an assistant with Kirby. Some of the best Kirby biographies or retrospectives were all created by Evanier. But more importantly to me, Mark Evanier is one of the main forces on Gru the Wanderer. He's the one who keeps Sergio Aragonis in line. He writes all those cheese dip jokes. So Mark Evanier, good guy. Peter Max, another famous guy, all that kind of stuff. So this Ground Pound Comics for mature readers, our mid-grade copy at only $4 from 1987. It's a collection of underground comics by John Pound, as we said, who is best known for his work on the Garbage Pail Kids. This book primarily contains tributes and satires of funny animal cartoons and the EC comics of John Pound's youth. There you go. And we were recently talking about Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary and the explosion of autobiographical comic series. One guy who pretty much made his entire career based upon telling very awkward, uncomfortable anecdotes of his own life, to the point where some people could argue that it's like TMI kind of thing. But more importantly, and something that we are connected as Fat Jack's Comicrypt, I'm talking about the artist Joe Matt and his comic book series Peep Show. But the reference to Fat Jack's that is important is Joe Matt worked here in the Philadelphia location of Fat Jack's Comicrypt in the 80s during the distribution when Mike used to do distribution here before the distribution wars and Diamond One, all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, and a lot funnier, now it sucks. This story would make a lot more sense if I had an actual book where this is in. But in one of Joe Matt's Peep Show books, there is an entire comic strip all about his time working here at Fat Jack's Comicrypt. And to say that the employees who were working here at the time were upset by Joe Matt's interpretation of them in the comic strip would be putting it lightly. But more than anything, it has one of my all-time favorite Mike anecdotes that Joe Matt tells in explicit detail. I can't remember what set it off, but if you're out there in the chat, you're watching, probably not. Better for you, buddy. But there's an infamous story where I don't remember how Joe Matt set Mike off, but Mike decided to screw with Joe Matt by taking a first edition hardcover of Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller's Batman Dark Knight Returns. Just came out. I don't remember why Joe Matt was so excited. He explains it in the comic strip. But Mike, and again, it's great the way Joe Matt draws Mike, and the shit-eating grin on Mike's face as he tears the hardcover up, tears it in half right in front of Joe Matt. I always get a kick out of that little anecdote.
Don't worry, Brendon. One day I'll write.
There you go.
I'll write for you guys. And Brendon, you're gonna love yourself.
Oh, I can imagine. Trust me. You can't say anything that I haven't said to myself. So.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to interpret it for a newer age. So like, you're what we consider a doomer.
I'm a doomer.
Yeah.
Why am I?
Who's this we?
Okay, real quick. I'm not gonna take personal offense to that. Yes.
Well, it's more like it's just a joke. No one actually thinks they were identified.
Because I actually really try to push towards optimism and humanism and hope and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm just a very angry, depressed person.
That's what a doomer is.
Sometimes my pessimism, which I don't believe.
He's just made it a doomer. Well, no, it's a specific class of like the newer generation.
Oh, and by the way, I'm not a boomer though.
You're not.
No, I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a joke. It wasn't meant to be taken literal.
Okay.
It's just like the doomers in our like current generation are people who are basically like you, except they have access to the entire internet and they understand it better, which just makes them even more depressed.
Okay. All right.
They're very pessimistic individuals.
Okay. All right.
And it's okay. More than you, actually.
There's an employee who works here who actually told me that I am the most pessimistic person he's ever met in his life, which I mean,
if we're thinking about the same employee,
I
he hasn't met a lot of people.
Says a lot. No. We're not talking shit. I'm just, I'm not. I'm just
saying that's my assumption.
I'm letting people know that some people think of me.
Oh, you're not.
As the most pessimistic person they ever met. Anyway, enough about me because that's boring.
I want to meet Ben Shapiro.
Joe Matt's Peep Show. All again, without Binky Brown meets the Holy Virgin Mary, there'd be no Peep Show. So here we go. An ex-Fat Jack's employee himself. Joe Matt's Peep Show. This is issue number 1. I believe these are all first prints. Yeah, these are all first prints. So this is a mid-grade copy at $6. Now, the first 6 issues of Joe Matt's Peep Show is primarily all about his relationship with his girlfriend of many, many years. So it's mostly relationship stuff. So this is issue number 2, mid-grade, $6. Issue number 3. VG plus $4. A lot of foxing, stress on the spine. All right, cool. Let me just start with these. Issue number 4. VG plus $4. Issue number 5. Fine plus $4. Issue number 6. VG plus, very fine plus $5. And then we get into the next story arc in Peep Show, which is all about Joe Matt's childhood. Issue number 6, VG plus $250, and number 7. That's Joe Matt right there with his best friend, somebody. Fine copy, $3. There we have it. So we made it through almost everything except the Snarfs. So we didn't get to the Snarfs, which was Dennis Kitchen's foray into actually having a underground comic series. So we'll probably get to that at another point because again, we say 4 minutes. You can't go off that.
No, I'm going off of the timer of the live stream. How long we've been live?
But it's 7:45. Yeah. So technically, we've
been live for 2 hours.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, no, but right? We end. It's not like it's not a time limit as much as
it's not a time slot.
Yeah, our time slot is 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so we still have 15 minutes until 8.
And then
so wait, it's supposed to say 2:15? I don't know.
I don't think it really matters.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
you know,
I was going off of what
it's more.
Okay.
And at this point, 15 minutes until 8, we have to ask ourselves: is anyone still watching?
Some of us.
But is it anyone who wants to buy books, or is it people who want to just bullshit?
How are you? Best I can do for all of you, Brendon.
It's on its way.
I can work an extra Saturday. Maybe.
You gonna take all of them?
All right. So you know what? Just for the sake of completion, even though I'm pretty sure I have an idea that none of these are going to sell, but let us go through the Snarfs real quick, because at least once we go through the Snarfs, we can at least put them into the box, and we can allow people. Man, I really do feel like a lot of shame for how the show started.
Oh,
I was fine.
Nobody that's watching. Everybody that's watching now knows. I was gonna say nobody carried over. Everybody carried over. It's all the same people.
My father gave me my father gave me one piece of advice my entire life. And as a child, I didn't understand it because I seemed to live my life antithetical to this piece of advice. But I still think it's wonderful advice. And he always said, you should live your life smooth talking, slow walking. And I went, Dad,
screw you. I'm gonna do the opposite.
You have no idea when my birthday is or how old I am. I haven't seen you in 2.5 years. And thanks for that advice. It doesn't mean anything to me. But I do look back at the entirety of life and I go, smooth talking, slow walking. Like, that is a great way to kind of just not be in control, but like it gives you a leg up.
It looks like it. It looks. It's very.
Listen, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
No. I wouldn't even. We're not doing. What's it called?
But we're talking about confessional, autobiographical, underground comics.
Yeah, but we're not doing. Yeah, but no.
I have one fan in this world, and that is my boy Zanin. And the one thing that Zanin always tells me, like every week,
he's in the chat.
He's in the chat. Is Zanin goes, Brendon, that's going into the memoirs. I'm like, Zanin, I'll never do that. He's like, and he's always very supportive. And he's always like, you should.
I'll tell you what my parents said to me when I tried to tell them that I think I had depression.
Okay.
They said, stop faking and go upstairs. Well, the actual quote is, stop lying before we beat your ass. Now go back. You know what about Buffy?
Right on. Right on. There we go. Nothing like parents. No matter what, you're effing your kids up. It's just going to happen.
But, maybe don't say it. Yeah,
just think it.
Again, what is one of the hardest things, and yet probably one of the most important things about all human interaction? It's empathy and compassion. And yet, okay, Jason, you obviously don't agree. What is more important than empathy and compassion in human interaction?
Human interaction.
The way that we interact.
There's a lot of people that have zero empathy.
No.
That's what we're saying.
But no, I'm not saying just because people aren't good at empathy and compassion.
But they seem to be doing just fine without it, in the sense that they don't care.
No. They're doing good individually. So if you're
holistically, it's a different thing.
But if you're more of a humanist, like Kurt Vonnegut said it best, and I'm paraphrasing, but he made the argument that
slow walks.
No. In 20th century, especially 20th century America, in terms of art, literature, all that kind of stuff, we needed to get away from the group institutions like church and crappy governments, things of that nature. And so a lot of the 20th century was all about individualism and being able to recognize the importance and the beauty and the power in the individual and the self, and to find joy and bliss for yourself, not because you're told to live your life for you. I mean, all this sounds like cliches because, again, the artists and geniuses and creators of the past 100 years, that's what they focus their attention on. But later in life, a lot of these same artists look back and said, we took it too far. The pendulum swung too much to the next extreme. And as Kurt Vonnegut said, what is individualism in the end of the 20th century? And if he had lived long enough to experience this century, I believe he would feel even stronger about this. Individualism inevitably leads to neurosis of self-questioning self, of self-absorption, of the inability to recognize, empathize, and have compassion for anyone outside of yourself, because we have spent 100 years telling everyone you are the hero of your story and you are all that is important.
The young translation is we're all basic bitches.
And there it is.
And now you know.
And now you know.
Reading Rainbow.
And there's nothing wrong with being a basic bitch.
No, again, it's balance. Find balance in all things. The Buddhists had it right, man. Find balance.
I'm a basic bitch that's got good hair.
Yeah.
Brendon's got good shirts. Pretty nice shirts. I wish I had cool shirts. I want to have like gray shirts.
Somebody looked for you to take that shirt off. Who was it?
It was probably Marshall. No, Marshall wasn't Marshall. Yeah. Marshall's seen me half naked so many times.
Half naked?
Well, yeah, because Marshall has been one of the very unlucky ones to come hang out at my house. One of the very few people who would actually dare to come to my house when I lived alone in my old place before, like, you know, I found stability in my life with my girlfriend. And Marshall would come over to, like, watch a movie. But really, especially in the summer when it was really hot and I had no air conditioning and stuff, so I'd walk around in, like, barely any clothes, probably into my second fifth of whiskey, probably under the influence of a few other things. And I would just pace around the house sweating, just ranting and raving about life and the universe and the world. And he would just politely just sit there and be like, okay, Brendon, okay, you're loved. It's okay. I'm here for you. I'm like, again, now
I see the stars within the universe.
Yeah.
As we all did.
Poor Marshall. Poor Marshall. You know, like, he had to really put up with a lot. Yeah.
Maybe that's why he still comes in and checks up on you sometimes. Just to make sure you haven't completely gone off the deep end.
Did we ever show the snarks?
No, I haven't said the snarks. Let's burn through the snarks.
You want to know about
we still got 11 minutes.
Yeah, nobody's watching.
6 minutes.
Tell me about the Smarts.
All right, so Dennis Kitchen created Snarf from Kitchen Sink and Enterprises. This is issue number 1 with a cover by Dennis Kitchen. First print. In this issue from 1972, here are all of the artists involved. Dennis Kitchen, Tim Boxell, Everett Garretts, Wendell Pugh, Dave Herring, and Don Glassford. This first print is VG Plus at $10. Snarf number 2. First print, VG Plus, $10. Jay Lynch, Dennis Kitchen, Pete Pulaski, Grass Green, Tim Boxell, Everett Garretts, and Wendell Pugh. Now this is a fun one. Issue number 3. Dennis Kitchen's buddy, Will Eisner, gave him, literally, this is the only underground comic with a Will Eisner cover, and it's Spirit. But don't get too excited. There is no Spirit story or Will Eisner inside.
What a sham.
So maybe Will Eisner was not aware of what he was actually drawing this cover for. Anyway, this is the first print, and you get work by Pete Poplaski, Peter Loft, Tom Christopher, Everett Garretts, Dennis Kitchen, and Tim Boxell. That is a fine minus of $10.
How funny would it have been if he accidentally sent the wrong covers to 2 different people?
That would be fun, yeah.
Or Will Eisner actually did a lot of underground covers as a student.
Who did?
Will Eisner.
You know that for a fact?
No, I'm just saying.
So some of them might be him, and
who? I mean, he's doing underground covers.
Wait. Let's do what the internet does. I'm going to proclaim something with confidence, and then I'm going to say, prove me wrong.
I said, what if?
All right, number 4, first print. work with Everett Garrett's, Dennis Kitchen, Grass Green, and Howard Cruz. That is a fine minus at $10. And then we get into one of the more famous. No, this isn't. This is issue number 5. Okay, that is a good plus copy because there is a 1.5 inch split on the spine. That sucks. It's only $4, and you get Everett Garrett's, Dennis Kitchen, Grass Green, Howard Cruz. I already said that. Next up, issue. Oh, now this. Okay, issue number 6. This is a famous Robert Crumb cover. Also, it is the first time in this series you get a story written by Harvey Pekar plus John Pound, who we already talked about of Garbage Pail Kids fame. He's got a back cover on the back of this issue. But that is a very famous Robert Crumb cover. That is a VG plus at $8. We then get Snarf number 7 with an Art Spiegelman cover. There we go. Fine minus $8. And then we get Snarf number 8 with another John Pound cover. That is a fine minus at $8. And then Snarf number 9. There we go. Now that is a VG Plus copy at only $6. And then we get a famous issue of Snarf, Snarf number 10. Not only do you get a Bill Elder cover, the famous, oh my God, I just flaked on what the title of this painting is. Oh my God, I stood in the Louvre. This painting is huge.
Starry Night?
No.
One of these.
Do you recognize? Does that? No? All right. Gary would know. I'm flaking on it right now. It's beautiful. But what makes this book famous, it's a fine minus at only $6, but it is the origin of Omaha the Cat Dancer. There we go. If you don't know who that is
it a cat who dances or a dancer who dances?
And now we get Snarf number 11. That is a VG at only $3. And then here's an awesome cover, especially for you Corbin fans. My boy Richard, killing it. Snarf number 12. Corbin cover. Harvey Pekar writes, "What Superman Means to Me," and Joe Matt of Peep Show fame gets a strip in this issue. That is a fine minus at $4. And then we get over to Snarf number 13 with another John Pound cover. If you don't recognize that Garbage Pail Kid style, it's coming. Also, you get some Joe Matt comic strips and a comic strip by Basil Wolverton. If you don't know who that is, VG, $3. And then Snarf number 14, VG, $3. And the final issue of Snarf, and possibly the last issue, but I'm not sure, Snarf number 15, fine plus, $4. And yes, you guys are all right. Every time I said Snarf, all I want to do is go, Snarf, Snarf. So don't think I wasn't with you on that.
Like Thundercat Snarf?
Snarf, Snarf, Snarf.
I'm going to have to shoot that in his face, Thundercat.
Yeah, it was Thundercat, Snarf.
Dude,
The not 80s kid knew that.
I'm happy I said, yeah, it was.
Of course. Do you want to be like memes that character made? There's like tons of like videos of someone just shooting.
Hey, Aaron. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Okay?
I'll tell you what I really want.
Oh, we got the end. What time is it, fellas?
8 o'clock.
It is? Okay. All right. Kyle, sorry to keep you late. Anybody who's still watching, you're a real one. No, at this point, we have to start. We got to make cards or something for real ones. We'll call them the real ones, the real fans of this, whatever the hell this is. But anyway, thank you everyone for hanging out with us, for chilling with us. Thank you everyone who suggested songs. Roland, sometime during the week, he's going to throw together the mix. Don't forget, if you want, there's the Spotify link, there's the YouTube link. If you want to search on Spotify, search for Roland Vale. Look up the Latchkey Manifesto, okay?
It's important to know that Roland Vale is one word.
Is it one word?
It is one word. If you search 2 words, you get some weird Spanish guy who plays the piano.
That is right. Thank you very much. Okay. You would think that idiot, my basement friend, would have told me that his profile name if you're going to search. Yes. So
the best basement friend you ever had.
So if you search Roland Vale, Vale is Veil. Okay. And you can find in the public playlists. It'll always be every mixtape will be posted sometime the week after the episode under the Latchkey Manifesto volume whatever with the date and the title. And then we will post the link on the following episode, and we'll go forward. And hopefully everyone will enjoy this little experiment, and we can keep this going for a bit of time. Because, hey, I got turned on to a couple really good songs from this recent mix. So,
I'm having hella fun with it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know yet. Kyle, are we next week is July 4th weekend, right?
That was up to you guys. We were going to talk about that after we went off the air.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it. I'm feeling maybe not, but we'll talk about it. Which is one of your dad's famous quotes?
Anything's a sex toy if you try hard enough.
Excellent. Awesome. With that said, have a wonderful week. Try to stay positive and optimistic. Don't forget, you are not alone. All right. If we don't see you next week, we'll see you in 2 weeks. But either way, be well. Take care. Say goodbye, everybody.
Oh, God.
Peace.